To get to this, you have to start with this. And if you're a game developer, you know what this is. It's the blank canvas. And let's be honest, it's daunting. The task of designing a world that tells a story, guides the player, and feels alive can be overwhelming. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my process for designing the main level of my prototype, making sure it's the perfect stage for the story I want to tell. What's up, everyone? Welcome to a new devlog. For those of you who are new here, I'm creating an RPG where your decisions shape the character's personality, affecting their emotions, stats, dialogue, and the story's ending in real time. And this empty space you see here will become the heart of that world. But the problem isn't the emptiness itself, but how to fill it with purpose. My goal isn't just to place some cute little trees and terrain, it's to tell a story through the environment. I want the level design, the shape of the paths, and the placement of elements to guide the player organically and reinforce the narrative. The story of this prototype is about a journey, a place of transit that ultimately reveals a devastating reality. The level needs to reflect that journey, make each area feel unique, and ensure the player's progress has an emotional impact. Using tools without a clear plan distracts me from what's most important. Thinking like an experienced designer. We have the story idea, but how do I bring it to life in the game? How do I make sure the space makes sense before I start modeling entire forests? My process begins outside the engine with a simple diagram. It's important here to learn from the classics of the genre. In top-down games, as a general rule, progress feels more intuitive when moving from bottom to top. And since my game has an isometric-like view, moving to the right also feels natural. First, I design the narrative arc. From there, I create a layout with the key spaces, the starting point, an exploration area, and the entrance to a village where an obstacle will appear. The main objective will be placed to the northeast, following that intuitive direction. For the unexpected climax, I'll place it at a different point, to the northwest, to give a sense of exploration, and that the character has completed an arc, which is quite challenging to set up in a simple prototype. Once everything is ready, I connect these points to create a clear flow for the player. Then, I transfer that diagram to the scene in a very basic way, a process known as blocking, except in this case I have tools that allow me to get very close to the final result. Using splines and other tools, I create a rough representation of the wooded areas. This allows me to walk through the structure and feel the rhythm of the story. I can check if the distances and connections work without getting lost in the details, ensuring the journey feels right from the start. With the general structure defined, the next challenge is, how do you guide the player without making them feel like you're holding their hand? The answer lies in subtle environmental design, and paths are my main tool for this. For this, I use a small tool that lets me paint paths directly onto the terrain. It's not about putting up neon signs, but about creating routes that spark curiosity. I choose a path type, like a dirt trail, and simply draw its course. But the tool is the least important part. What matters is the why behind each path. The main path, representing progress, always ascends towards the objective to the northeast. Secondary paths are usually narrower, hinting that they are for optional exploration. However, there's a key detour to the northwest. It doesn't look like the main route, but it's the one that will lead the player to that unexpected climax. Every path tells a story. A well-trodden one speaks of a busy route, while one almost erased by grass suggests a forgotten place. We now have the structure and the paths, but the world needs barriers and points of interest to shape the journey. And for that, there's nothing like a good river. In a top-down game, a river is more than just water. It's a natural border and a landmark. Making them by hand piece by piece is a slow process that punishes experimentation. That's why my system allows me to draw the course of the river with a simple line. Once drawn, the river is automatically integrated into the scene with its own collisions. But again, what's crucial is its narrative function. More than just an obstacle, the main river acts as a border that welcomes you to a new area, the village. It marks the point where the wilderness ends and civilization begins. Another geographical feature I use is a huge crack in the ground. As if a titan had struck the earth with an axe, this element acts as an impassable barrier, separating the character from dangers they cannot yet comprehend, and which, if all goes well, will be revealed in due time. And that's how, starting from a blank screen, we've arrived at this. A world designed to tell a story, with paths that guide curiosity, rivers that set the pace of the journey, and areas designed to convey emotions. As you can see, in level design, narrative intent is everything. What do I want the player to feel here? What part of the story am I telling with this landscape? The tools are just there to help answer those questions more efficiently and creatively. Of course, this is just a skeleton. There are still enemies to add for the turn-based combat, characters, treasures, polishing the graphics, adding atmosphere, and a ton of secrets to hide along those paths that invite you to get lost. But now it's your turn. What do you think of how it's turning out? What would you add next to make this world more alive and tell its story better? Leave your ideas in the comments. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you liked this video, hit subscribe so you don't miss how this little world evolves. See you in the next one.